Hi, I think you will like today's topic if you struggle with a lot of self criticism, self judgment, and self sabotage. If you are often stuck in indecision, you have an internal conflict about something. So, in this video, I want to share with you different therapeutic techniques that were created just with the purpose of solving that inner conflict. I'm Joanna, I'm a clinical hypnotherapist and a life coach. One word about the therapeutic word. Even though I'm not a therapist or psychologist, there are some techniques in hypnotherapy and coaching that have a therapeutic healing effect. Maybe you have this one goal in life that is really hard to achieve. You tried everything. Maybe you want to stop overeating, maybe create something, shift your life in a different direction, or maybe enter a serious relationship. Consciously, you have no excuses. You take action. But as soon as you make some progress, you sabotage yourself. You do something that makes no sense, or maybe you suddenly get sick, or the inner critic comes up to the surface and reminds you about stuff you have done in the past and how you do not deserve this change right now, this positive change. Anxiety that undermines your performance, confusion, which is another very convenient subconscious way of not moving forward. If that's you, you are not alone. A lot of people struggle with this. There are basically three ways to deal with the negative voice. One, push it down, silence this voice, ignore the voice. Some people get into another box of cookies when they hear the voice because they want to silence it, they want to make themselves feel better. And believe it or not, in some coaching schools, it's also promoted to silence that inner voice. They say that it comes from the survival brain that wants to protect you, that wants to preserve your energy, and you should choose a better positive thought. It could work temporarily in a situation when you quickly have to change your mind and your energy, but ultimately this voice is going to be returning to you, reminding that it has something important to say. And that's why we want to use those therapeutic methods that I mentioned. Another way of dealing with the negative voice is you believe it. You hear the voice and you just give up on your goal. You actually believe that you will fail at this also. The negative voice also is going to look for proof that you are not going to succeed. So, do you believe this voice? Do you try to dismiss it? Now, there is a third way of dealing with this negative voice, and that is talk to it, see it, hear it. Open yourself to a dialogue. Find out what this voice is all about. What does it really want? Open yourself with curiosity to hear the voice. What does it want to say? What is its agenda? You might have heard about different modalities that have the purpose of solving inner conflicts and bringing you to the place of oneness, wholeness, integrity, inner alignment. When you are torn in different directions, you may have the sense of being fragmented, split, or divided. The modalities that can help you are, well, some methods in neuro-linguistic programming, in hypnotherapy, inner conflict resolution, or parts therapy. You can talk to those different parts also in coaching or in archetypal coaching, internal family system, shamanism. In shamanism, you are calling back the lost parts of you. The idea of different parts is present in our everyday language. Everybody knows the picture of the angel sitting on one arm, telling you what you should be doing, what will be better for you, and the devil sitting on the other arm, trying to convince you that you should do something very enjoyable, that actually will be bad, but you shouldn't be thinking about it right now. Just have fun, just enjoy it, right? You know that there is a voice of the ego and voice of the soul, especially if you read A Course in Miracles. You know that the ego is always present, and whatever ego is trying to tell you is going to lead to suffering, to your suffering, and to inflicting suffering on other people, whether you want it or not. So the alternative is to listen to your soul, to the Holy Spirit. But we also have the idea of the archetypes, which already started from Plato, then it was developed by Carl Jung, and then by Caroline Myss. And at any given time, you can deal with 12 different inner archetypes. Some of them are survival archetypes. So let me give you an example what an archetype may look like, which you can also call a part of you. It's like having different voices in your mind that have different agenda for what you should be doing. There could be an archetype of mother, which will have different energy than an archetype of a wife or a free spirit or a lover. You may have an inner archetype of the healer and rescuer. And different archetypes may be showing up at different stages in life. In your teen years, it was the inner rebel, which actually also shows up later in life in different areas of life, especially when it comes to eating, right? If somebody wants to lose weight and they have the strong inner rebel that wants to do whatever it wants to do, it will be very hard for you to quit sugar because the inner rebel will be rebelling against this positive intention. So in your early life, you may have inner rebel, the inner adventurer that wants to explore the world. And later in life, that part of you may be less active, less convincing, less present in your life. So it's not that we are going by a book trying to fit you into different archetypes, different parts. What I do in parts therapy, in inner conflict resolution, when we go into the hypnosis or even in coaching, those parts of you come to the surface and you are the one that is identifying them. You will be the one that you are the one that names them because you feel their energy. You know how they talk. You know what is their agenda. And there is also this bigger part of you. In hypnosis, it will be just your name, you as a person. In internal family system, I think they call it the bigger, compassionate, calm, wise you. However, we call this over-encompassing part that is the bigger you, is it doesn't matter. It could be the inner CEO, it could be the inner executive that overlooks everything that is happening inside of your psyche. But there's one thing those parts have in common. When it comes to the parts of us that create negative consequences, that we don't like those parts because they get in the way, they sabotage us, those parts are louder. The negative voice is usually much louder. We have to go within to find the positive voices, parts that when you follow their voice, you will have long-term positive consequences. So what always happens is that the positive voice is usually much more quiet. We have to go and look for it. It's more complicated than this. It's not just about turning down and turning up the volume. It actually happens during a process of mediation and negotiation. So what happens in parts therapy? That could be done in hypnosis, or we can also adapt it to coaching. You go into a trance, you simply relax, and you have a hypnotic dialogue with your hypnotherapist. So you have your eyes closed, you are in a state of deep relaxation. The hypnotherapist is asking you questions and calling on the parts of you that have something to say about this particular goal. Those parts come up in your mind. Sometimes it's very easy, it's effortless. And then you speak with the voice of that part until we thank that part for participating and we call on a different part. Internally, you definitely know which part of you is talking. So since I already started talking about this, let me continue what happens. When you bring up the voice of the part that interferes, This is important to know. And when you do this, for example, on your own in journaling, or you have your own meditation, because you can guide yourself through this meditation, you have to treat that part with respect, with love and care, with curiosity. Simply be positive, be respectful, as if it was a real person. So be nice to the negative part of you, because what we discover during this work, in the end, we discover that that part of you, it had positive intention for you. Yes, it's true, it could be coming from your survival mind, but very often when we investigate, when did it come? When did it show up? Why is it doing what it's doing? We will discover that something happened in the past. It was a bad experience for you, and that part took over and decided that it's going to protect you from more hurt, from more pain. And this is why it's so strong, right? This protection against more pain, to the point that it doesn't want you to put yourself out there to risk anything, because it doesn't want you to experience the pain. Another thing that happens during this work is sometimes the inner child shows up. The inner child hides often behind that negative, wounded part of you. And if that's the case, it's common that it takes a while for the child to communicate. It has been ignored and shut down for such a long time that it doesn't trust you. So just because you want something from it, it doesn't mean that it's going to give it to you right now. So you need to offer your inner child compassion and promise that you will take care of it, that you are not going to leave it alone, that you are not going to abandon your inner child that is hiding behind that negative voice. When you give yourself patience, when you give your inner child patience, the inner child may start communicating with you, and there is then this beautiful moment of reunion. But remember, when you promise your inner child that you are going to protect her or him, that you keep your promise. So once we bring up the positive parts of you, I mean, positive in a way that you simply resonate more with them, then we can negotiate between those parts. The final result is always an agreement. We simply have to negotiate to create that agreement. You will start feeling more aligned. It may happen that you will feel that your energy is coming back to you. Now, the energy that was previously trapped in that inner conflict is now liberated and can be used to create your goal. Depending on your spiritual beliefs, you can also call in that highest self, the part of you that is connected to the creator, to the source. There is an interesting role that parts play also in illness, in chronic illness. But I think I'm going to record another video on this, because then this would be too long. But let me just give you one example. A part of you is overworking itself, it's overgiving, it always wants to people please, it never says no. And that leads to being overworked. On one hand, it seems like it is something positive, but on the other hand, a part of you suffers because you are tired and your body is telling you, hey, hello, I need rest. I need you to give back to yourself. I need you to replenish yourself. But if you don't listen and you keep overworking yourself, then your body may start giving you some symptoms forcing you to rest. And if you really ignore it and push even further, then sometimes your body creates illness. It's not that we are doing it in a conscious way. Of course, this is all the subconscious thing. And it's not just one reason for the disease to happen in the body. So don't blame yourself if it happens, but it's interesting to look at the different sides of our personality. Which part of my personality may be leading me to problems later? And when we go and talk to that part of you that is overgiving and overworking itself, we might discover that it's simply is this way because at some point in the past, that was the way to earn love. Well, I don't know if love could be earned, but that's the intellectual part of me talking. When we act from our subconscious, we don't know that. We simply realize, usually as young people or children, oh, when I do this, this works, then I get more approval. And then we take it as a sign that this is the way to be. And that part of our personality dominates until we have to renegotiate how we see the world and ourselves. But I think this part of us that wants to overgive and overwork ourselves is very often very strong because you believe that to rest when you are sick is acceptable, but to rest when you are healthy is not. Those beliefs, limiting beliefs, also can be a part of that inner conflict resolution. Another way to find those different parts of us and communicate with them is through felt sense. When you connect with a part of you, when you connect with a feeling, or you ask, what is showing up for me today? What is true for me today? And you look into your body for response. Things start showing up, maybe a memory, maybe a picture in your mind, maybe a scene, something unresolved. And I cannot even tell you what we do. This inner dialogue, this inner work simply unfolds in the direction of clarity and inner agreement and healing. And of course, self-love, self-care is a big part of inner healing in all forms. Another area of life where we may do this work is spirituality. When a part of you wants to be free, forgive, and another part of you wants to stay in anger. That is the revengeful part of you. A good question also to ask yourself is which part of you identify yourself with most? Because sometimes your self-concept may be so strong in one area that it interferes with another part of life. For example, if you are going through a divorce and you saw yourself as a wife, that was your strong archetype, and now you are in the process of a divorce, then of course that part of you will have issues. And in order to go through that process towards freedom and emotional freedom, you have to find a new identity. You have to say goodbye to your inner wife and embrace the part of you that is now free to create herself in a new way. And if you are really holding on strongly to that archetype of the inner wife, it's going to interfere with you being actually free and moving through this difficult time with a sense of hope and freedom, and believing that something good will happen, something good is waiting for you. So if you need help with this, if you want to work with a hypnotherapist or a coach, go to my website, positivelyrebellious.com, schedule a consultation, and we'll see if we can create magic together. If you want to do this work on your own, you can do journaling, you can do automatic writing, you can meditate, go within yourself and call on those parts of you. But the most important thing is that you treat each part of you that emerges with respect. Now, a word of caution. Sometimes you call on a part of you that sabotages you, and it doesn't want to come to any agreement. It doesn't serve you in any way. It is clear that it wants to inflict pain on you. And its voice may sound very selfish and it's confusing. What is going on? In some cases, this might be an attached entity, attached energy, energy that does not belong to you. It's here just for its own selfish reasons, but it doesn't serve you. So then you have to find a way to get rid of it, to send it to the light. There's also a process of self-discovery and negotiation with this part. Sometimes that part of you shows up in your past life and you carry it through lifetimes. Sometimes they get attached to you because you are sick or you feel weak. in a weak mental and emotional state, or you are under an influence of alcohol or something else. These are the moments when it's much easier for those entities to get attached to our energy field. Let me know if you have any questions about it, and please comment below this video if you had an experience with this kind of work and how did it go. If you like this video, please click the like and subscribe to this channel. Thank you for watching.